Here we go. This is history in the making. It's the first interview on the AngieReview.com, and this may seem weird to a lot of people that I'm doing the first interview. Good, I'm Sway, and this is Angie, as you know. Congratulations.
Thanks, man. The challenge is for me, because I have so many things I want to ask you. The challenge is for me to sit over here and let you.
Wow, this is, well,
Hi,
this is
Sway.
the high end.
Thanks,
How you
man.
doing?
I'm going to be honest, too. I called Sway yesterday. I was like, I'm launching my site, and I want to talk to somebody about it. He's like, I'll be there tomorrow.
I got you.
I love you for that.
And I told you when we interacted that I've always admired what you do in this business,
man.
How you sustain your longevity, and you've always kept a high caliber of quality in your approach to journalism. And I know it hasn't been easy. We've been through a lot of eras in music.
Yes.
We've seen a lot of people come and go. And you haven't lost a beat, and it's as obvious in what you're doing right now, being progressive,
man.
and you're an icon. So I've interviewed everyone from the president on down, but I'm excited about this.
You are? That's so crazy.
As much as I would
Thanks,
be him.
man.
In fact, even more excited because we feed off of each other. And
Yeah.
I've had the opportunity to feed off of you.
I feel like after we do this, at some point, maybe like next month, I would like to then turn this around and talk to you, because I could say the same things about you, about how long you've been able to maintain and still relevant now. Saturday Night Live, I saw that the other day. That was so crazy.
I gotta thank Keenan, man.
That was great.
Man.
That was really great. But anyway, I'm not gonna see. I'm gonna stop. You interview me. You go.
Okay. Let me interview you today, and then we'll come back to me. Plus, I'm scared to be interviewed by you because you might have me crying on the camera.
Oh,
and I've never done
it.
That.
Oh, stop it.
The AngieReview.com. This is launching now. I know this is a big deal for you.
It is a big deal.
What is this all about?
All right. So I had a website before. It was like the Angie Martinez show, which was more of like an extension of my radio show.
Yeah.
And it was cool, and we put up all the content and all my interviews and stuff like that. But I don't know. I just feel like at this point in my career, in my life, I feel like there are other things that I'm interested in. There's other things I want to talk about. And so I think this site is going to be, it's really a cross between the culture and the music and the movies and television. But also, you know, I love cooking.
Yeah.
I'm totally into this food space right now. So I have an opportunity to share some of that there. But I also wanted to have a place where, you know, the audience, the reviewers can have an opinion. So I'll be putting up music for people to vote on. I'll be asking for people's reviews on movies and television shows and even things that happen in the culture. You know, just how did you feel about that is really what it is.
I like sites that have original features and, you know, things that only that site offers. What are some of the features that we could find on the AngieReview.com?
Yes, I mean, you know, we're going to have all types of interviews. I'm going to interview you, and I'm going to make you cry.
Damn, I ain't never cried before.
I'm going to make you cry, Sway.
I need that outlet, Angie, please.
Sway, come to me, Sway, because you do have many answers, Sway. You have I'm going to let you
Yo, if you say I got the answers, then I got the answers. You've had some legendary interviews. Oh, you're funny. I remember interviews that you've had with Tupac.
Oh my gosh, it's so crazy that you say that to me. But can I stop you? Because I can't.
Go ahead, go for it.
Because you're interviewing me and I'm not used to that, so I want to jump in. But so we're gonna do a feature every Thursday. It's like Throwback Thursdays, where we'll do a classic. You know, because I really have had amazing interviews, and then it's like you hear them on the radio and they kind of live on the site, but then they're away. But there's really some classic material that we have. So every Thursday I'm gonna like handpick one that I feel, I don't know, that I'm just into at that moment, and we'll do a throwback one. So I was talking to the team about that the other day, and then of course whenever I bring that up, everybody asks me about the Tupac interview.
He's such a you know, I used to, being from Oakland, him and I used to hang out. I used to hang out at his house near Lake Merritt. And
the apartment or the house?
The apartment.
Right.
So you know.
With the poetic justice pictures of him and Janet in the living room?
Exactly.
That's where I interviewed him. That's where it happened. It was in the middle of like all that. It was smack in the middle of like what was going on, crazy. And I was 22 and maybe, if that. It was like my first big interview, and I flew to the West Coast by myself.
Wow.
Didn't know him from nowhere. And I really just went there and interviewed him. And what I got was so crazy that at the time, I couldn't air it on the radio because I was literally afraid that somebody would die. I literally thought I would make a bad situation worse, when my intent was to try to smooth it out and make it better. But he was so angry and passionate at the time that I really felt like if I would have came, put it on the radio, it would have got worse. So what I did is I have this 2-hour interview, right?
Yeah.
What I did was I aired 5 or 10 minutes of it, the best pieces that I felt like wouldn't cause more problems, and that's all I ever aired. So technically, I have this 2-hour Tupac interview that's never been ever heard.
And that's going to be offered on your site, Throwback Thursdays. You got to put the whole interview.
Yeah, no, I'm at the place. Everybody's like pressuring me to do it.
You have to put the entire interview.
I feel like now. I do feel like now it might be a better time because I feel like, you know, everything's settled. It's part of history. I feel like almost selfish because it's so amazing. I feel selfish that I have kept it to myself all this time. And so, yeah, it will probably be a feature on a Throwback Thursday.
You have to do it. One of the last things he ever said to me when we did an interview was, I wanted to tell you the truth so you can deliver it to the world. And I'm sure that's why he said it to you.
Yes.
And then what I would be interested in hearing, too, is you reviewing that interview now and telling people what was going through your mind as he was saying the things.
Ding. 4 stars for you, Sway.
You gonna do that?
100% gonna do. I would have to.
You gotta do that.
I would have to do that because it really was a really crazy experience for me to be sitting there with all the, you know, all his crew and me being so young and really not fully understanding what was going on at the time, but trying to help, but really not knowing how. And then he was so passionate and so. And after the interview aired, and then I saw him at the MTV Awards, the one where, remember when he saw Nas and Snoop was there, and they almost got into that fight? Yeah. I saw Pac that night, and the interview had aired, and I said, I was like, I'm really sorry that I couldn't air the whole thing. I just personally couldn't sleep at night if I would have did that. And I said, but I tried to edit it in a way that was honest to what you were saying. And he was like, I totally get it. Don't worry. I appreciate you, and I appreciate you coming. So I had peace with the fact that I didn't air it, and it was okay. He said, all right, and then I went about my business, and he did too.
And that quality about you, I think, is a key component to your success. When you look at how journalism was handled at that time, you actually implemented who you are personally and what it is you distribute to the world.
Right.
Where nowadays, you don't have that filter. People don't care. You saying that I was interviewing him to help out a situation. We lived through that East Coast, West Coast.
Yeah.
It was scary. It was dark, right? People were dying all around it.
I had people telling me I shouldn't go. Are you crazy?
They thought you would get hurt.
Yeah.
But you still went, and that's what I respect about you, and also that you care. Oh. And I think it's a generation of journalists that are coming up now. A lot of people ask, how did you sustain so long? And I told them it has to do with integrity. And I tell them, you know, you have to put yourself into it. You can't just try to make the moment so you can make yourself famous.
Yeah.
Listen to what Angie Martinez does.
Right. Oh, that's sweet.
I always say that because your relationships, and when I always wanted to ask you too, we all have our approach to things. My approach is very organic and natural. I kind of just say what comes to mind.
Yeah, me too.
You know, right? And I noticed that of you too. And I wanted to kind of dissect your approach because I remember you were interviewing Jay-Z, which, by the way, you always had the best interviews with Jay because of the relationship you guys established. So you could get that inside stuff about him.
Right, thanks.
Because I'm intrigued by this dude.
Sometimes people say that, and I do feel like I adore Jay as a human being.
Yeah.
So I'm generally happy when he's there. And he's so great, and it's so interesting, his perspective. But I feel like some of our interviews are better than others. Yeah. Sometimes now, because people say they're so great, now when he comes, I feel the pressure like, oh, it has to be great.
Pressure, right?
Yeah, when all I want to do is talk to him and find, you know what I mean? I want to just forget it, block that out, and people saying, your interviews with him are great. I want to like block that out and just be able to sit there and really be honest and have a good talk with him. It's like a challenge.
Well, but you bring that honesty out of him. One of the things you asked him once was about his writing technique, which I thought was a...
Oh, I'm sorry. Is that an important
is that my
call?
phone?
Oh, that's your phone?
Oh, that's my phone.
Way to be professional,
okay,
Sway.
Toss me that phone.
Way to really...
Well, turn that off for me. Turn it off for me if you can.
How many times do you walk around and people say, you don't have the answer, Sway?
That is my last name. Sway, you don't have the answers. I was thinking about putting it on my ID. Or it ain't Ralph, though. You know,
it ain't Ralph.
You know, but when I see Kanye and I went through the earlier in the year, he told me he gave me my first TV. So
I know we all know that.
We all know he gave me the first TV, and so we laughed after that interview. I said, man, every year you do something that just kind of catapults my pro.
It's just great.
What's next?
It's so
you know?
Great. It's so great.
But this is what I want to ask you. Jay told you that part of his writing technique is sometimes he listens to the music and he might write, he might follow a melody in the song, or he might bounce on the kick drum syllables, or he might ride inside the pocket of the snares. And I thought that was interesting. Your technique, What is it? I mean, is it you really just don't do anything? I mean, how did you develop that? Like, how do you prep?
Yeah, and it's good and it's bad sometimes.
Okay.
It's bad if you don't genuinely care enough about that artist. Like, if it's somebody that you're not into, it's great if you're really into somebody.
Yeah.
And then you can have but sometimes if it's like a new artist and you don't know that much about, I try to do a little research, not too much, because I don't want to read. I don't want to be Wikipedia. I don't want to be like every other interview. So I try not to read too much, but I try to read enough just to get a sense of who they are as a human being, and then take it from there. Like the first time I had August Alsina up.
Yes, from New Orleans.
I didn't really know much about him. I liked his little song at the time, but it was like brand new. It was early in the game. There wasn't much I knew about him. And he, but I don't know. I had read that he had all these issues with his family. I didn't really know the extent of it. But he just opened up, and then we could just have it was like a human conversation more than who you working with, what's your next. I just try to find something about them as a human being that I could connect to and find out about. Is really how I just approach, I think, all of them.
All of them?
Even Rocky, like A$AP Rocky early in the game. I loved that his mother named him after Rakim.
Yeah.
That was like the dopest thing to me. So for the next interview, instead of like figuring out what's up with the team or what's up with the album, that's when I surprised him with Rakim.
Oh, Rakim came
in. And Rakim, did you see that?
Yeah, that was amazing.
That was like one of my favorite interviews ever.
August Alsina, too, I love talking with him, right?
Yeah, he's great. I love people who are honest and could just talk about who they are, yeah.
With that said, then I'm going to try to get as many as I can right now because we have these parallel lives. Challenges.
I can't wait till I interview you.
Right? You can get out. I will be totally transparent with you.
Okay,
I've never done that. What was the biggest challenge you had in the interview?
In any interview?
Yeah.
Ever?
Yeah.
Oh, God, that isn't. I'm going to be mad later because I'm going to be like, no, it was that time. Or
think of one that comes to top of mind.
The top of mind, honestly, was probably Chris Brown.
Okay.
Chris Brown, right after everything happened,
wow.
He had only spoke to Larry King. He hadn't done any radio. And Larry King, he had his perspective, and that interview didn't go well for Chris. And then I have a different perspective because I knew him since he was 16. His first interview was with me. I knew his mom. I had a very different perspective. And so that was difficult because I felt like I wanted to be fair to him as the kid that I knew and as a human being. But I was also so mad at him.
Yeah.
But I also didn't want to put the message out like to my viewers, to my listeners, that what happened was okay.
Yeah.
So it was a very challenging little dance to play. And I kind of just felt all those things and then let it go and then just talk to him. But it was tough. That was a tough one.
You thought it went well, though?
I did. I was proud of that. I was proud of it because I felt like I was honest, but I was also fair to him as a human being. I was fair to him as the kid I knew, but I was also honest about how I felt and how I thought people felt and what it was going to mean to him. Like, that was probably one of the toughest ones, though.
Chris Brown.
Yeah.
I
mean, we've had great ones since then. No, but that moment in time, it was, everybody in the room was like, everybody.
It was tense. I listened to that.
Tense.
I love, there are a few people that I like to listen to, and you are one of them because it allows me, having worked in radio since the 90s, I'm able to be a fan and just listen.
Thanks, man.
I
feel the same about you.
Yeah, thank you. We could hug each other all day. And so I love listening to. I heard the Chris Brown one. I love your Irv Gotti interviews.
Yeah, well, he's ridiculous. He doesn't even need somebody to interview him. You just put him in the room.
And there it goes.
Let him go.
I want to talk about the world of radio because you've been with Hot 97 since 90.
People always ask me that question, and I couldn't answer it.
Okay. Since the 90s.
Since the early 90s. I was 18 years old when I started here. Okay. That I know.
And in that, you sustained a lot of radio wars, and you know, and even now, I don't particularly care for radio wars, but I love competition. You know,
competition is good.
Competition is good. How have you navigated through all of that? You know, even
when I think when I was younger, I used to take it personally.
Yeah.
And I don't anymore. And something happened to me early in the game where I realized if there was somebody else doing what I was doing, or at least something similar, then that's good because it gives me an opportunity to be challenged, to have somebody to make me better. But also, I don't think anybody can be like you. I don't think even if you have competition down the dial, they're not going to be swayed. They're not going to, they're not going to be Angie. They might be a great version of who they are, but ultimately, once you start trying to bend and be like somebody else, you're going to fail. So it's really, you kind of just gotta just do you.
Yeah.
Let competition make you do you better. But you have to just do you at all times. You can't get confused or distracted by what other people are doing, because ultimately, that's when I think you fail. That's when I think you lose.
You fall off track, right?
Yeah, I think so.
You become reactionary instead of proactive.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
That's never good.
That's never good.
So I can't really, you know what I'm saying? I can't really, I don't get too much into that.
You're above that now. See, I can't wait to engage your site.
Thanks, man.
And, you know.
And it'll be a process, too. You know, we're going to launch on Thursday.
Okay.
We launch Thursday, 3 o'clock. We're going to do a live stream. Everybody tune in. We're going to do a live stream from a radio show at 3 o'clock on Thursday of us doing the launch of it. And then, you know, it'll grow. There's all kinds of things. I'm about to start this, like, Deanna, you're doing it with me, too. I'm going to do a fitness challenge, a 30-day fitness challenge, and we're going to start it from the site. Probably in a week or two we'll start. I'm trying to, I keep pushing it back, like we'll do it next week, because once I'm in, I'm locked in.
You feel a responsibility, because this obviously this is a part of your future, and I'm sure you have other things. And we're entering, one of the things I admire about Jay-Z is, you know, when people criticize him, I often say, man, this is one of those times you got to shut up and listen. Because he's entering arenas and areas that none of us have gone. And so what he's going to do is, you know, build the, you know, the blueprint, so to speak, no pun intended, or lay the building blocks that we could learn from, which is what you're doing. You know, you're building the blueprint, how to sustain through all of this industry, through technology, through this culture, which is, you know, suffers from ageism, you know.
Right.
You get past 25.
I used to feel like that.
Right?
I used to feel like that, honestly. I used to feel concerned about ageism and stuff, but then I realized, like, they need us.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Because with that one perspective, you don't have any balance. You don't have anybody to show you something that went wrong, to teach you about anything. You don't have anybody that's experienced it. Because a lot of the people, unfortunately, as you get older, they leave the culture.
Yeah.
We're not leaving the culture. Like, this is who we are. This is what we're from. But we also have experience to be able to share. And there is a real strong benefit to that. I love talking to people who are experienced in our culture, whether they're 25 or 45, or Russell Simmons, who's 85. No, I'm just kidding, Russell. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding, Russell. But if you care about the culture and you have experience, I love having those conversations. So I don't feel no way about that. And I, you know, and especially like on a site, this will be all types of, you know, people who working with me on the site, the people who will be doing reviews, and they'll be all different levels of that, of age and, you know, background.
And I'm excited to see it, and congratulations.
Thanks, man.
I want to continue this interview, but I want to save some for the next time we sit down and talk.
And I'm coming for you.
Okay, let's go. And then,
I'm coming
you know
for
what
you.
we'll do? We'll just have a conversation.
I would love that.
And then you can ask me whatever.
Okay.
You know, and I'll ask you whatever, and it's just because you inspire me, you know.
Thanks,
and the same way I want to inspire folks. And hopefully, hopefully I do. But we need each other, inspire each other, because we all need to stay inspired. So by you doing this is inspirational. I can't wait to see what you have coming up next.
Thanks, man.
Moving into the future, and thank you for allowing me to do this first interview
Thanks,
on the unreleased.com. All right.
The legendary
Check
Sway.
it out. All right.